So this morning, we're going to talk to Joe and Lucy about the Cumbria Opera Group's plans for the summer. And Joe's in Paddington Station and is catching a train in about 20 minutes or so. So Joe may hand over the baton to Lucy. I don't know how they're going to play it. We've got a clip to show you of Don Giovanni, which they did at Grange over Sands, which I saw last summer, which was fantastic. We're also going to hear about the wonderful Words by the Water, which Gwenda Matthews helps organise. She's just joined the call, runs the bookshop in Keswick, and Lucy, her daughter, runs the bookshop in Carlisle, Bookends. And Sue Allen is one of the chairs, as am I, of some of the sessions this year. And Sue's going to talk through some of the sessions coming up. And then we're going to hear from Sophie Bass, who's just joined the crew at Florence Arts Centre in Egremont, who's going to talk about some opportunities coming up for people to work there as well. I just wanted to mention before we go to the opera group that I had a great time at Forgotten Lands, which is a small music festival near Bewcastle, right in the north of the county, almost across the border with Scotland, just in Cumbria at the weekend, which was fantastic. Saw some great music. Sue did a lovely talk about dialect and language in Cumbria over the years. Saw that, it was great. And also I went to the Spring Fling, which is an open art studio in Dumfries and Galloway, which takes place every year. Chris Bridgman, who sometimes is on this call and is obviously part of the Cumbria Arts and Culture Network, helps organise that. Loads of open studios, really high quality stuff. And that was a great time as well. So I had quite a cultural time the last few days in different guises. Bought a few CDs at the festival as well, which was nice. But anyway, we've only got Joe for a limited amount of time, so I'll shut up and let you listen to Joe and Lucy, who run the Cumbria Opera Group, which is an amazing organisation that does opera across Cumbria to the highest quality. So Joe, tell us a bit about what you do and what's coming up this summer. And why
Hi,
are you
Tom.
in Paddington Station? What are you doing today?
Hi, Tom. Hi, everyone. You'll have to excuse the noise. I'm just about to zoom off. I've got a rehearsal with English Symphony up in Worcester, so I'm just about to zoom off to that in a few minutes. So it's one of those days, but it's great to join you all. So Lucy and I run the Cumbria Opera Group, which we founded in 2016. We run festivals every other year, and in the off years, we do very exciting events that are normally themed around the area where we live. So in 2022, we did an outdoor production of Swallows and Armenians, which was based on Swallows and Amazons, obviously a Cumbrian themed story, but it had the influence of the Armenia people, because the Armenian people very much influenced that story and put back into that show. And then this year, 2024, this summer, we're doing a very exciting new opera from local composer Jen Hartley, who's writing an opera called Kings, Witches, Lovers and Souls, a compass of Cumbrian legends, which is all about folk tales and myths and legends across Cumbria. It features a very exciting cast. It's got 3 soloists who are really making headway in the opera world: Johnny Hill, Eleanor McIntosh, and Anna Cooper. But they all come from Cumbria. So though they're now performing Glyndebourne, Garsington, all those brilliant places, they all grew up in Cumbria and are all very proud Cumbrian born and bred. So it's really kind of celebrating Cumbria whilst bringing, really big talent back into this county. And it will be 30th and 31st of August. And it's something we're really excited about. And just to kind of introduce us more, Tom's got a clip of a production we did last year in the festival. We did Don Giovanni at Grange over Sands as part of the 2023 Opera Festival. We ran that for 3 nights at Victoria Hall. And this is a song called Oh, of Course, Sir. It's sung by Mazzetto. It's a sarcastic response to Don Giovanni, who turns up to the wedding of Mazzetto and Zerlina and says, "Oh, hello, Mazzetto and Zerlina. Mazzetto, do you mind if I take your wife and, take her to the bushes," basically? And Mazzetto kind of sarcastically replies, "Oh, of course, sir. Of course you can take my wife when we just married." And it's sung by the brilliant Samuel Snowdon as Mazzetto.
I will go. At your wish, I'm helpless now. I will humbly take my leave, not to common sense and thou. No, nevermore. You're a gentleman, I know. Yes, John, oh yes indeed. All you need I will allow, not to stop, not to impede, not to impede. Oh yes indeed. Oh Serena, can't you see? Oh you flirt, you haven't done me. Oh you flirt, you haven't done me. Leporello, it's a witch hunt. Don Giovanni is a witch. Always trust a noble's honor, that should be my constant creed. This should be my constant creed. Don Giovanni, you're an arson! Can't you see you haven't done me? Oh, please leave me like a tree. Emperello, oh, Serena, it's not what I thought we'd be. Always trust a noble's honor, this should be my constant creed. This should be my constant creed. Always trust a noble's honor, this should be my constant creed. Always trust a noble's honor, this should be my constant creed. This should be my constant creed. This should be my constant creed.
Lovely stuff. And Joe, am I right in thinking that you translated that into English?
Yeah, for all my sins, I took 2 years translating Don Giovanni, and I'm currently translating a certain other opera, maybe by Mozart, maybe not, that will be performed at the 2025 festival next year. So something to well, maybe look forward to next year.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, you've got a partner in crime that runs the opera group, haven't you? And she's called Lucy Britton. Hello, Lucy. Tell us a bit about what your role is and you know the state of play of the Cumbria Opera Group.
Yeah, my role is very much, I think, supporting Joe. Joe is the brains. I am occasionally, not the brawn, but occasionally other things. Sort of, officially I'm the managing director. Practically, I help where needed, I would say. I think Cumbria Opera Group to date and currently has been very much pitching in as and when there's stuff that needs to be done, and that is one of the things that is so great about it and so great about all of you. Particularly, I'm going to shout out Kate Parry here in Embarrass Her, who has been a massive friend to COG for quite a few years now and is now one of our trustees, which we are very, very lucky about. State of play with Cumbria Opera Group currently is, I think, a really exciting one. I think every year since I joined in 2019, we've just been growing in terms of the ambition of the work that we do, the scale of the work that we do, the Cumbrian-ness of the work that we do. And I think this summer is really it's going to be the peak for Cumbrian-ness of all of our work, which is super, super exciting. So some of you may know Jen Hartley. She's our associate composer and has been for a while, but teaches, I believe, teaches at Sedbergh School currently, or has done until very recently, is doing a PhD in composition and has written this opera for us that just has all these legends about Cumbria in it that I wasn't aware of, such as the White Monks of Shap. There are some witches who are referenced, and we've got the Cumbria Opera Youth Chorus, which is going to have its debut in this opera this summer. You may have seen in the video that Tom just showed, there was quite a large chorus on stage, and that was, I think, one of the things that both Joe and I are proudest about with COG is the community feel to all of it. The fact that so many people are willing and keen and engaged to just turn up, do some opera, perform, be part of it. And the Cumbria Opera Youth Chorus is really the next phase of that. So we're thinking, you know, since we began, we've had all these people come out of the woodwork and say, oh, you know, you're an opera company in Cumbria. I'm an opera singer in Cumbria. So weird. We should get to know each other. And we have a suspicion that there are more people like that. So the point of the Cumbria Opera Youth Chorus is, if you are, I think it's 16 to 24, Joe, but please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, 16
Yes.
to 25, actually, but yeah.
16 to 25.
And Joe, would you say there's a good market for opera, you know, in Cumbria? Lucy, if you want to just go on mute, that's it, lovely, because you're slightly crackly. Joe, is there you know, good market for performance in Cumbria?
Yeah, I think so, and it's definitely a brilliant place to perform. I mean, with the festival last year, about half of the people involved were from Cumbria, and about half came from across Europe, really, and came in, and they just loved coming to, you know, the most beautiful part of the country, in my opinion, for a few weeks to rehearse and perform opera. And we've done 2 festivals so far, 2021 and 2023, and we've had very good attendances at all of them. All our flagship operas have sold out. We've had very good turnouts at our evenings of opera and our masterclasses and our concerts. So I think there's a real buzz here about the art form, and I think particularly the things we've done which have really referenced Cumbria, like this one, to really show that, you know, opera is relevant in Cumbria and opera really belongs here. Those events have been really successful, particularly. So yeah, really excited about this summer.
And you're the man at the front with the stick, waving it, conducting, as well as having translated it all and probably done some other clever things too. You've obviously got a massive musical background. Joe, were you at school in Cumbria?
Yeah, I went to Appleby Primary and then I went to Quakes Penrith. And nowadays we do a lot of workshops in school. So it's great because we've actually been into Appleby Primary a lot of times, which is great. You know, there's still some teachers there who taught when I was there all those years ago. So it's been great to see them again. And we've got 7 or 8 schools workshops in the diary for July. Kendal, Penrith and Carlisle will go to schools there. And Lucy referenced the Cumbria Youth Chorus. One of the reasons we set that up is we've done these workshops in schools since 2016. And now obviously the young people who've done those workshops are obviously getting older and they've maybe just left school and they're looking to study at conservatoire. So it's really kind of taking them and kind of continuing their journey with us and keeping in contact with them as they kind of make the big step from school to studying singing at a conservatoire university somewhere else.
And Kate, why have you got involved as a trustee?
Because I think the product is amazing and the quality is really high. Also because I think it's massively needed. I grew up enjoying opera. I didn't realise that was quite unusual, but I lived in Leeds and therefore going to the opera was really possible. We used to go to Opera North all the time. It wasn't until I got to university that I realised that not everybody had that opportunity, and certainly when you move to Cumbria, you realise how far away you are from any regular contact with amazing opera. So when I first heard about the Cumbria Opera Group, I was just really interested and then really impressed by what they're doing and who they're involving, and yeah, and they're lovely people. So I'm very happy to be a trustee.
I like the way that you get around the county as well. You really, certainly the last 2 programmes have got, you know, to the west coast, to down south, up to Carlisle, Kendal, Penrith. I really admire the get around the county, and try and spread the word and the love for opera. Lucy, so just remind us again, what's the plan for this summer and what's taking place?
Kings, Witches, Lovers and Souls, which has a subtitle, A Compass of Cumbrian Legends. It's on August 30th and 31st, I believe at 7:30, in the Penrith Playhouse. It's going to be so good. We've got one of our returning directors who is a whiz with technical lighting stuff. Some of you may have seen Love Why Men last year or Trouble in Tahiti in 2022, 2021. The same director, Johnny Danziger, is coming back for this year, and so expect a sort of visual and audio spectacle, and then also all of these Cumbrian legends, which maybe are less well known, which is very exciting to hear.
Joe has turned his camera off, so he might be getting on his train. But just to finish with, I'm always intrigued, and you may not want to tell all your secrets, but how do you fund the Cumbria Opera Group? Where do you get funding from for it?
It's a long process. Opera has I think opera is the best art form in the world, but the reason for that is that it combines all of the art forms, and all of the art forms means lots and lots of money is required to put on any kind of opera. We tend to fund generally through the generosity of funding bodies who focus on the arts. We also receive a lot of support from local authorities in and around Cumbria, which we're very grateful for. But that's kind of the brunt of what Joe and I are doing at the minute, is writing off to all these people and saying, we're doing this really great thing and we think you should support it, and then just kind of hoping for the best.
I think we've probably all been there in different ways in our lives, chasing the dollar. Has anyone got any questions for Lucy or Joe about the Cumbria Opera Group? If you haven't been to see one of their performances, I can highly commend it to you. It's a wonderful all-round experience of both vision and sound. And it's amazing to think it all takes place in this county of ours by people who have an affinity and a connection with Cumbria as well.
And they're incredibly young.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're still doing stuff in Cumbria, even though they're young. Kind of breaks the mold, doesn't it?
It's really, I think it's really important that we embrace it. So do try and get along if you possibly can.
Yeah. Okay. Anne says, is there a mailing list we can join for this group to keep informed? Lucy, have you got a mailing list? You must have.
We have. I believe you can sign up on our website, which I think someone has linked in
I
the
think
chat.
Amy has kindly put the website. Yeah, so have a look
Yeah.
at that, Anne, and see if you can find a mailing list box there to click. All right, Lucy, Joe, good luck with your travels to Worcester. I think you said you're off to. Oh, there he is. Man on a train. I can tell it's first class. He's there.
Absolutely not. No. Thanks, everyone.
All right, good to see you. Thanks, Joe. Good safe travels. Thanks, Lucy.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Good stuff.
Bye.
All right. Right. Well, let's cross from a moving train in London to let's see what's going on as far as books are concerned in Keswick, because the Words by the Water Festival, which has come back to Keswick, to Theatre by the Lake, and it's nice to see Rachel is just joining us. I think. Hello, Rachel. We're just about to talk about Words by the Water. We've got a few voices that can talk about it, but Sue Allen is one of the chairs. Sue, were you involved from the very start of Words by the Water, or have you?
Not from the very start, but from just a couple of years in. Yeah.
Right. So tell us a bit about it. What's going on, and any perhaps highlights for people to look out for?
Well, it's a revival of the festival, and it's at a slightly different time of year, a warmer time of year, so that's good. It's 5 days from next Wednesday, the 5th, is that? Yes, to the following Sunday, the 9th. And the usual spread of major figures in writing and in politics and in literature and history. In fact, historian David Kynaston, which you're chairing. On the first day, we've got Blake and Morrison and Polly Toynbee. That's going to be an interesting one in the light of the run up to a general election. She's talking about the myth of social mobility. We've got Mary-Elsa Bragg doing a number of events, including one that first day with Peter Stanford and Blake Morrison. Mary-Elsa is Melvin's daughter, and she's now joint president of the festival, so that's good. She'll be doing workshops too. At the end of the festival, we've got Stuart McConey, and I'll be chairing that event with Stuart, who is a part-time Cumbrian, as we all know, and has written a wonderful, almost a rewriting of J.B. Priestley's English Journey, and that's going to be lovely. We have got poetry, of course. People say you never have much poetry. It's small but perfectly formed. There are workshops with the likes of Kathy, oh God, name's gone. It's my age. Kathleen Jones. Kathleen Jones, yes. And Mary-Elsa Bragg. In fact, her workshop had sold out, but she's putting in an extra one, so do sign up for that. And Katie Hale is doing a workshop. The festival will close with the wonderful Bookshop Band, who are a fantastic act, if you've ever seen them. They write songs based on books and writers like Philip Pullman, Margaret Atwood, all sorts, and they're really great. And they're just recording their 14th album now, which Pete Townsend is producing. So that's going to be a great event. That's at the very end on the Sunday. What else can I say about the in-between workshop? Local writers, of course. I've mentioned Kathleen Jones and Katie Hale. There'll also be Polly Atkin talking about her. And yes, thank you, Amy. That was Chris Burns, who's launching his new book of short stories. He's a great writer, Chris. There'll be a poetry breakfast as well, where you can bring your own poems, or ones you like. We've got Ros Roberts from Keswick talking about the Keswick landscape artist. Helen Rebanks, that's another important local one. And if Max out in the Lake District with Kerry Irving, I specifically asked to mention this. It is rapidly selling out, and Kerry's going to be bringing her 3 spaniels with her. Not Max, who sadly has gone, who departed to doggy heaven. And the studio has themed days, so a lot of events in the main house. The studio's themes include self and identity. The bookcase shop will be having a bookcase day, women in history, in our doorstep and journeys. And none of this would happen, I have to say, if it wasn't for Bookends. And I don't just have to say that because Gwenda's here on the call, but the festival organisation has completely changed. Leah will be coming up again from Devon, but the people mainly behind the festival this year are Gwenda and Lucy Matthews from Bookends. They'll be running the bookshop too at the festival, but they've organised most of the festival and got these wonderful writers. Oof, that's a quick rundown.
You've done very well, Sue. So which sessions are you chairing? Then I'm going to ask Gwenda in a second about how on earth do you pull together a book festival like this. But anyway, first of all, Sue, tell us which ones you're chairing.
I'm chairing on Thursday, Sally Coulthard, who's done a book called The History of the Countryside in 100 Objects. That seems to be a popular theme, 100 objects to do things in. And it's a lovely book, objects from umpteen thousand years BCE to the present day. And that'll be lovely. She also writes for Country Living magazine. I'm doing Mary-Elsa Bragg on Friday with her book Sleeping Letters, total contrast. Very spiritual, poetic book, and a very poignant book about the suicide of her mother when she was 6. On Saturday, the 8th, I've got one that's just been put in there, especially for me, I think. It's David Crystal, the wonderful linguist, talking about dialects. So I'll be on that. But also people should make sure to go to the one he's doing with his son, which is all about Shakespeare's English. And on the final day, I'll be talking to Catherine Hughes about her book Catland, because I was told I had to do it because I was a cat obsessive, which is not quite true. And then Stuart McConey on the full English later that day. So I'm going to be busy, and I'll also be busy on the desk and driving and basically being a general gopher.
Right. So declaration of interest. I'm doing a couple of these sessions as well. I'm talking to Luke Harding, who is a journalist who writes about Russia and Ukraine a lot. A fascinating paperback he's written, which is about that thick. But I'm also doing David Kynaston, which is this book here, which is about 700 pages long, which I only got hold of about 5 or 6 days ago. It's an amazing book. As Sue's mentioned, it's basically just honing in on 3 years in the 1960s, 1962 to 1965. And so quite a lot happened in those 3 years. If anyone was alive then, I clearly wasn't. You may remember some of those events, but so national, international events, but also what his genius is he's got lots of diaries and lots of little, very normal people leading pretty normal lives, but sometimes talking about extraordinary things. So goodness knows how on earth he goes about researching and writing this. That's going to be my first question to him. But it's a really, really interesting read, you know, from the Profumo affair to Wilson taking over to the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Big Freeze, getting ready, Alf Ramsey predicting they're going to win the World Cup, all sorts of things. So really interesting book, but a lot to read before whenever it is week on Saturday. So Gwenda, you've just had a glowing reference from Sue about you and Lucy, your daughter, who it's changed the way that it's being pulled together this year. Tell us how on earth you go about making a book festival happen in a corner of Cumbria. Just come off mute, Gwenda. Otherwise, we're going to have to guess what you're saying.
Mute, right?
There
Can
you go.
you hear now?
Okay, off you go.
Yeah, well, it takes more than just a couple of weeks, that's for sure. I think we first started way back in January, basically. So this is almost 6 months work, trying to get everyone together. I think we were actually quite fortunate this year in that there are some really good quality regional talks by Cumbrians or Northumbrians. Sally Coulthard's a Northumbrian. We've got David Breeze talking about people's reactions to the chainsaw massacre of the Sycamore Gap tree. So it helps if you've got a good basis. And I think here in Cumbria, we have had a very good regional basis this time.
So it's mixing it up between sort of celebrity type people
Yeah,
and the local regional offer.
yeah, because not every event can be a sellout by any means, and we want to bring a little bit of variety into the program, which I hope we have. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I mean, I have been involved in programming the Borderlines Festival in previous years, so I do have some experience. But I'm a bit older now, so maybe I get a little bit more tired or fraught with circumstances.
I can't imagine you ever being fraught, Gwenda.
No.
What I do remember is I expect there to be a nice jug of daffodils on the signing desk. There normally is. I would
But,
expect that.
yes, but it's the wrong time of
Of
year.
course, it's the wrong time. So what's going to be instead this year?
Well, I don't know. I've been having a look in our garden, and normally we have thousands of daffodils, yes, when the festival is on, but I'm not so sure.
Just go
I'll
to
have
the
to,
florist in Keswick for me, for my sessions. Not that they're
yeah,
my
yeah,
sessions, I'm just
okay.
sharing them. And make sure there's some sweet peas or something on the desk if you can, some early sweet peas.
Sweet
Yeah,
pea.
it's not quite sweet pea time either,
Yeah,
Tom.
sweet
You're
peas, isn't it?
obviously not a gardener.
Um,
Ooh.
Steady. Rachel, you're at Theatre by the Lake. This is I've noticed there's been a lot of promotion coming from Theatre by the Lake as well as from Words by the Water. This is an important event for the theatre as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's so lovely to have them back and be hosting it again. We did we were doing a general sort of audience study of people just walking past the theatre and people who use the cafe, just to sort of see how much people come to the theatre. And like time and time again, we were getting people going, when are you bringing Words by the Water back? So I'm just hoping all those people are booking tickets. So yeah, it'll be nice to have the theatre full again and buzzing with authors and people who love books and literature, and yeah, it'd be
And it's
great.
the main house and the studio that's used as the spaces for the events, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it takes over the whole building. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good.
I just also mentioned there's a lot of volunteers that work at the festival as well. So Derek, who's sitting there quietly, is Derek, I think you're one of the drivers, aren't you, that pick up authors from probably Penrith railway station and troop them around to Keswick, etc., etc. Is that right?
Yes, I should be driving.
So why do you do it?
Well, I like volunteering apart from anything else, and I love books, and I've always enjoyed this festival, and got to know a lot of fascinating people like Sue, but actually I've had a great time transporting speakers, whether from Penrith to Keswick or the other way around, or there was a time, of course, when you'd go and pick them up at the Liswick and take them to theatre. That's not happening this year, but a whole range of remarkable people whom I would not otherwise ever have met.
That's a great reason for doing it. I remember giving Vince Cable, I think it was last year, was it, or the year before? Anyway, I gave Vince Cable a lift back to his hotel, and we ended up talking about hitchhiking, because I used to do a lot of hitchhiking, and he used to do a lot of hitchhiking in his youth as well. And we were talking about the tricks of the trade of trying to get lifts when you're hitchhiking.
Yeah, well, I remember that very well.
No, that's a really good reason. Well, thank you to you for volunteering and all the stuff you do, Derek. Gwenda and Sue, so it's next week, isn't it? It's the 5th of June, is that right, Sue?
Yeah.
Wednesday the 5th to Sunday the 9th.
Okay. And fingers crossed it's a great success. Fingers crossed they all turn up when they say they're going to. The chairs as well as the authors. Do we know whether Luke Harding's going to be on Zoom from Ukraine yet, Gwenda, or is he going to be there in person?
I think it's very, very doubtful that he'll be in person, because I think he actually is in the Ukraine.
Okay, so I'll be talking to a big screen.
You'll be talking. I'm almost certain you will be. Yeah,
right.
yeah. But you did. I remember you doing 1 or 2 Zoom events, and you do them extremely well anyway. So,
Gwenda, the check's in the post. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, grand.
Right. Okay. So great stuff. Get along to Keswick if you can for Theatre by the Lake, Words by the Water next week. Lots of great stuff. And often it's the sessions that you're least expecting to be inspired by. They're actually the ones that are the most memorable. So have a look at the programme. It's a great, great programme this year. and good luck with it all. Thank you for telling us about it.
Thank you.
Right, well, let's just shift from Keswick to the West Coast, and I'm looking for, there she is, Sophie Bass, Sophie, you've just joined Florence Arts Centre, is that right?
Yeah, I have. I've just started this week. So I'm the new youth and community producer here at Florence. So yeah, I just started this week.
Okay, what were you doing before?
I worked as a cashier for a bit, but I finished uni last year and I did fine art at university over in Newcastle, Northumbria.
Okay.
That was really good. I really enjoyed that, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, tell us a bit about what's going on at Florence.
Yeah.
And these opportunities that specifically you're focusing in on.
Yeah, so we've got some really exciting commissions coming up. Over the summer, we're going to use our main exhibition space as a drop-in place, as well as run some workshops during this time for young people over the age of 12. And we're looking for an artist to come in and design the space in advance of the kids coming in, to create it into like an innovative and inspiring place for young people. So currently we're calling it the Art Room, which is a working title because we'd like to open up the title and the theme of this installation to the artist to include in the proposal. And the artist who also designs this space will get to do one of the workshops. So I'm trying to think what else. The commission will be here at Florence on site in our main exhibition space. And it'll be between the 16th and 23rd of July. We're offering a commission of up to 3,000, depending on the proposal. The fee should cover all design, material, fabrication, travel and transport, as well as installation and de-installation. And any personal access costs can be covered. But the proposal for that is due the 12th of June. And alongside the person who, it could be like a collective or a single artist that does the design for the room, we're also looking for some people to come in and just run a workshop. So if people just want to come in and do a workshop during that time as well, they can put in a proposal for that. So it'll be a one-off workshop. We've got it's 6 weeks, so the 6 workshops available will be sort of like 5 and then 1 for the artist who's doing the room. And the proposal for that is also due the 12th of June. And I'm trying to think, for the workshop, there is a £200 artist fee, and then there'll be £60 in resources, depending on the brief, which will total to 260. We apologise for the mistake that was advertised. We advertised it at 300, I think it was 300 and something. That is wrong. It's actually 260 for that, so we apologise for that mistake. And if you've got any further questions about it, you can either visit us on site here at Florence Mine in Egremont in West Cumbria, or you can give us a call on 01946 824946, or you can email me at program@florenceartscentre.com. But I'm also going to put this information in the chat as well.
I think Amy's popped some bits and bobs into chat already. Amy, do you want to? Yeah.
Hi, Sophie. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I've just got a bit of a question. I wondered, it sounds like you're after something quite immersive, which is really nice to hear. So if an artist comes and they've got, a fully formed idea, is that kind of what you're looking for? Or it sounds like you may be looking for, are you looking for like the young people to actually co-collaborate on designing that installation? So is it going to be kind of a collaborative effort, or
it is a bit, yeah. So what we've actually planned is, so they'll maybe come up with some initial ideas, so maybe not fully set in stone, and then we'd actually like them to go out into the community and ask the youth what they want. That is part of our requirements. So we're just going to say, like, if you've got some initial ideas thinking, oh, maybe I want to put this there and do that, and then you're like, cool, we'll work on that and build on it. But then we also want people to go out and actually ask the young people what they would like from the space. So the young people could come back with their ideas and things like that. And so there's a bit of collaboration in it as well. So yeah.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. And just sort of follow-up question, is it quite open in terms of theme? Is there any particular themes that you'd like? Obviously the young people are going to say what they're interested in, but yeah,
it's completely open. It's as open as the artist wants it to be. That's why we sort of said the theme is really open for it as well. So that'll be, it's as open as it can be, but yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Good luck with that, Sophie. Nice to have you on the call.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And being sincere where it goes. Great that young people will benefit from whatever it is that someone comes up with. So always, that's always a nice thing to achieve as well.
Yeah.
Right. I've run out of things to talk about, basically. Has anyone else got anything they want to talk up? Stuff going on, stuff coming up that they want to publicize? Now is a good opportunity. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you about what's coming up next week.
I did come on last week to highlight my online exhibition. So I've already had the opportunity to do that, but I'll just follow it up with the links in the chat. There's a really fun sort of interactive part to the online exhibition where people can have a go and just sort of create their own little collage. And I'd love people to maybe have a go at doing that, take a screenshot, send me the results, and maybe I'll have a little gallery page on the website. Chris, who's on this call, has already done that, and his response was brilliant.
Chris created an animal. What do you create, Chris? Can't remember.
I think it was a donkey on a beach. It's really nice. It's lovely moving around shapes on a screen that look very sort of textural and paper like.
Yeah,
so I can highly recommend it. Get on there.
Thanks for the response, Chris. And yeah,
that's right up your street, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll pop the details in chat. And I realised after looking back at my presentation last week that because when you're presenting online, basically I was using the mouse as if it was my hand to gesticulate, so the mouse was going absolutely everywhere. But so never mind, forgive me for that. But have a look at the online exhibition if you can, and let me know what you think.
Great. All right. Thanks, Amy. We might be popping out a survey in the next couple of weeks, by the way, everybody, because we're in a process of working out where the network goes with its finances as much as anything else. We're okay until the end of the year, but we need to think about how we pull in some money for the following year. And one of the things that you can do in funding applications, if you've got great data to show there's a need for something, it really is persuasive. So do look out in the next couple of weeks or so. It's not been finalised yet. Chris and Kate are drawing it up. Some sort of survey, simple survey to ask you a few questions about the network. So that might be taking place in the next couple of weeks or so. Next week, by the way, we're going to hear from Charlotte Hawley, who runs the Dock Museum in Barrow. Some of you will know Charlotte. I've never met her. Andrew's nodding. I think she works for Westwell and Furness, because I think the Dock Museum is a council-run thing. Is that right, Andrew?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, the council on it.
Yeah, so so it's great to make contact with her. I've been trying to sort of make contact with someone from Dock Museum for a while, and at the Helping Hands conference a few weeks ago, there was a great little turn because the Dock Museum has benefited from volunteers coming through the Helping Hands project, which is all about getting volunteers from a wider selection of backgrounds into the arts and culture sector in Cumbria. So there was a nice turn on the stage there, so I made contact after that. And we're also going to hear from Zoe Lee Gadd, who sometimes is on these calls. She's quite new to these calls and to Cumbria. She's a dancer, and she's trying to set up a project for next year involving some dance connections with Barcelona. And someone's coming across from Barcelona to talk about that. And so hopefully we're going to have her and this chap who's probably got a very nice Spanish name talking about their project next week as well. And just one other thing I'll mention as well. I am doing some training about presentations and about how you do presentations both online and in person, because I've done a bit of that in my time. So there's some links that Amy might put into chat if she hasn't done already, because I'm not looking at chat at the moment. If you want to sign up to those, one will be online and one will be in person at RegEd about the middle of next month, towards the end of next month. So if any of that is of interest to you, I think it's kind of about 2/3 booked up already, but there's still a few places available. Thank you, Amy. In chat for that. I'm just seeing what's Derek put something in here. Interesting question talking about why I volunteer. I was a part-time resident in Bassenthwaite for 18 years before retiring in 2006 when we moved here permanently. I suppose I have the remnants of a strong work ethic, but I also wanted to be part of life here and to contribute to it. Wow. Volunteer at 30 by the Leg, a trustee at Kirkgate Arts and a school governor in Bassenthwaite. Most recently a parish councillor for infamous sins. Not all still possible because of decrepitude, but I did not want to be yet another incomer who simply took without also giving. That may sound a bit pompous, but it is genuine. Words by the Water, a great delight to have become involved. Mistaken identity, and a delight that is back this year. Long may it continue. Derek, you are so generous and warm with your words about everything that you write, and so eloquent as well. I know exactly what you mean, though, about coming to a place and wanting to give, because that's kind of what I've done as well. And I'm sure lots of people on this call probably feel the same sentiments as well. It's an important thing of what I am and what I do, and probably the same for you, Derek, and lots of other people on this call. So thank you for expressing that so eloquently. And then a plug from Phil about something that looks interesting too. A celebration of 16th century choral music, Weatherall Church, a lovely church. I know it, 7th of June, which is what, in about a week's time. So thank you, Phil, for that too. All right, lovely. Well, thank you to everyone for coming on. Chris is doing his bit wibbly wobbly screen thing. That reminds me of that exhibition that you did at Signal, was it? Before Christmas? Can't remember. What you do, Chris?
I figured out how to use a virtual camera in Zoom. So yeah, I can do effects. I can I mean, this might. Oh.
There's creativity before your very eyes for a Friday morning, everybody. Chris Dennett, he never disappoints. Right, that's enough. It's a bit like watching Doctor Who from the 1970s. Right, okay. Thanks very much to Joe and Lucy, who I know have had to go, and to Sue and to Gwenda and to Derek and to Sophie for telling us about what's going on at Florence. Really nice to see you all. Car park permits are being sorted for you, Derek, as well. So you've got free parking in Keswick for a week. Sounds good to me. Have a nice weekend, everybody. If you're in Cumbria, it's going to be nice, I think. And look forward to seeing you again soon.